Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a dream that was so big, so ambitious, that it just paralyzed you? A goal so massive that you couldn't even figure out where to start? Well, we're going to dive into an old story from feudal Japan that holds a really powerful lesson for anyone who's ever felt stuck between a huge ambition and that quiet feeling of not wanting to act.
Our story starts, way back when, under the cherry blossoms and towering castles, with a young samurai named Yuki. And yeah, he sounds like a character from some old fable, but his struggle, it's one we all know. It's about that huge, empty space that can open up between our biggest dreams and what we actually do every day.
Yuki had this fire inside him. He didn't just want to be a warrior. He was dreaming of being the greatest. I mean, in his mind, he was already a legend. A master of the sword, the bow, the spear, a brilliant strategist whose name would be remembered for generations. He figured that goals this big would have to be enough to propel him to greatness, right?
Well, here's the thing. When the sun came up and it was time to actually train, Yuki always had a reason not to. The weather wasn't quite right, or he wasn't really feeling his best. Or maybe, just maybe, he needed to think about his plan just a little bit more before he could possibly start. Sound familiar?
In this pattern, it leads to a really dangerous place we can call the inaction trap. See, Yuki was about to learn a very painful lesson, that his incredible ambition, the one thing he thought was his greatest strength, was actually turning into a cage.
And as the years went by, that gap between his dreams and his reality just got wider and wider. On one side, his ambitions were getting bigger, more detailed, more glorious in his mind. But on the other side was the hard truth. His skills weren't going anywhere. He started to prefer the comfort of just imagining future glory over the actual discomfort of training in the present. His dreams weren't fueling him anymore. They had become a place to hide.
The result, well, it was inevitable. The years just drifted by. Younger warriors, the ones who just showed up every single day to train, they all surpassed him. Yuki wasn't a legend. He wasn't even a decent warrior. He was just a guy, left with this hollow, heavy feeling of what could have been, frustrated and just drowning in regret.
And this really gets to the heart of the samurai mindset. Dreams without action are basically just silent thieves, stealing our most valuable resource, time. And once that time is gone, you can never ever get it back.
So how do we get out of this trap? The answer actually means flipping our whole modern idea of motivation on its head, using the wisdom of a true warrior, the legendary, undefeated swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. For Musashi, the path to mastery wasn't about feelings, it was about doing.
See, we have it all backwards. We think we need motivation before we can act. But the samurai knew the truth. Action comes first. Just the simple act of doing something creates momentum, and that momentum is what lights the fire we call motivation. Waiting around to feel inspired? That's passive. The warrior's path is all about action. Musashi knew that mastery isn't made in some big, dramatic flash of insight. No, it's built in the quiet, humble, relentless discipline of just showing up, day after day. The samurai trained not when they felt like it, but because the training itself was the way, the action was the path. This philosophy, this idea that's so deep in the warrior's code, actually has a modern name, the Kaizen method. And while the term itself comes from 20th century business, its spirit, the way of small, continuous improvements, that was the lifeblood of the samurai dojo. So what is Kaizen, really? It's the ultimate weapon against feeling overwhelmed. It's this deep belief that tiny, consistent steps, when you repeat them patiently over and over, will always lead to huge, undeniable results.
This old proverb just nails the idea perfectly. Yuki was paralyzed because he was staring at the top of the mountain, just wishing he was already there. The true warrior knows the only way to get there is to focus on the single step you're taking right now. So to really see how this works, let's look at another quick story that shows the incredible, almost hidden power of taking just one small, consistent step.
Okay, so picture a young student who, kind of like Yuki, often feels unmotivated. But instead of doing nothing, he just commits to practicing one single sword form every single morning. At first, it feels like nothing, totally insignificant. But through that quiet repetition, the movement becomes smooth, sharp, automatic. His body gets stronger, his focus gets keener, and, this is the most important part, his discipline becomes a habit. So when the time comes to learn the hard stuff, the advanced skills, he's ready. He's built this powerful foundation while everyone else is still sitting around waiting for motivation to strike. And that right there, that's the unavoidable truth. Endless planning without any practice is just a fancy way to procrastinate. That single, tiny, consistent action had more real, actual power than all of Yuki's incredible detailed plans put together. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most crucial insight from the warrior's path. The real battle isn't with the task. It's the battle inside us. The choice between our temporary emotions and our long-term commitments. Another one of the greats, a master tactician named Yagyu Munenori, warned against this exact trap. Waiting for the right moment, for everything to be perfect, for that magical jolt of motivation, it's all an illusion. A sword that waits for perfect weather will just rust in its sheath. And this totally redefines what we think of as strength. It's not about feeling powerful and ready to go. Real strength is the discipline to act even when you're tired or scared or totally uninspired. It's the willpower to just move forward even when your own mind is fighting you.
This is the warrior's mantra. It's a quiet declaration you make to yourself that your actions are going to be guided by what you committed to do, not by how you happen to feel at the moment. It's the choice to say, I'm doing this whether I feel like it or not.
The power to act without waiting for your feelings to give you permission, that's the power to build your own life. And so all this ancient wisdom leaves us with one question that is both incredibly simple and incredibly direct. What is your one small step today?